a long life Democrat. Democrats are better than Republicans. He said that on my show. And then he ran for president and he realized those, can I swear on here?
Please, go.
Those motherfuckers. They're the most anti-democratic Democrats in the history of the world. And so now it's to the point where people believe that he might endorse Donald Trump. That's how bad the Democrats are. That's how bad they are. You turned RFK Jr.'s son, who was an environmental champion of the left for decades. People can now go kayaking in the Hudson because of Bobby Kennedy and his lawfare against corporations and now they've been turned into haters of Bobby Kennedy because of the money of Big Pharma, because Democrats under Bill Clinton's tutelage became the tools of military-industrial complex, Wall Street, Big Pharma, and insurance companies and big oil. So if you remember, I don't know if you remember, maybe you're too young to remember this, but when Bill Clinton became president, he did a thing called the Democratic Leadership Council, the DLC, with Al Gore. And that was like, they were going to be the new Democrats, right? What did that mean? That meant they got so scared by Ronald Reagan that they decided to become tools of Wall Street. And so they said, hey, we're open for business. And on the Democratic Leadership Council, the DLC, they had Koch brothers executives on their DLC. So there was no difference. Bill Clinton, he did private prisons. He had 100,000 new cops. He bankrupted unions by doing NAFTA. That was the beauty of Trump. The first time he was against the WTO treaty, right? And he did that, which the Democrats were for it. Barack Obama's out there campaigning for and Trump was against it. That was great, right? So because NAFTA cut the legs out from underneath the unions for a generation, they still haven't recovered. So he did that. He privatized prisons. He gutted welfare. At the same time, he imprisoned all those people with Joe Biden's crime bill, and then he was ready to privatize Social Security. After he deregulated Wall Street, he took away Glass-Steagall, which led to the crashing of Wall Street within 10 years. And he was going to privatize Social Security, except because he had a secret deal, according to Thomas Frank. He had a secret deal with Newt Gingrich to privatize Social Security, but what stopped it was the blowjob from Monica Lewinsky. Story broke the night before he was going to announce that. So he didn't have any political capital left anymore to do that. So we owe a blowjob to still having Social Security, which I'm a big fan of Social Security. I'm a big fan of a mixed economy, right? So I think that the government should take the profits from oil and gas that's underneath the land that we all own and give it back to the people and not give it to Exxon and Shell and Mobil. That's what I believe. But I believe in a mixed economy. There should be free market capitalism, and then there should be things that are privatized. I mean, things that are government run like that. Not government run per se, but the profit should come back to us. Anyway, the point is, Bill Clinton was no friend of the working man, and neither was Joe Biden. That's the biggest joke. They just crushed a union strike, and they're out there pretending. And then this speech was all poppycock. It was all just like Barack Obama's speech was bullshit. Did you see Michelle Obama say that my parents were always suspicious of people who took more than they needed?
Lady, you have 3 homes on private islands. Private freaking islands that like regular people can't
40
get to.
acres on Martha's Vineyard. You know, Barack Obama had the balls to go to Africa and tell people that, if everybody here has an air conditioner in a private car, the world's going to overheat. And then he goes back to his private house on Martha's Vineyard that has 40 acres. How many do you think air conditioners here? I'm going to guess at least 11 air conditioners. Then he has another house in Chicago, and then he has another place in Maui, and he builds a seawall. Did you know about the seawall?
Yeah, he had to get an easement for it. He broke every law in Maui.
So so climate change laws say you can't have a seawall, and why can't you have a seawall in Maui? Because it creates beach erosion down the road. He didn't give a shit. He got a cutout to do that for his property, and it doesn't matter about isn't it amazing that all the billionaires, Benny, that tell you that climate change is real and sea level rising, they're all buying beachfront property. Dude, isn't that weird?
Oprah spoke last night, and she owns a 1,000-acre plantation. They still call it a plantation. She calls it a plantation on Maui. She's the biggest landowner in Maui, and she hasn't opened up a single acre to the people of Lahaina who had their entire homes burned down, who were trapped in their city as it burned. The government trapped them in there and burned them alive. That's a matter of fact. The AP reported that. Only the people who disobeyed the government were the ones who survived.
That's
that.
right.
And Oprah has yet to open up a single acre of her 1,000 acres on a plantation. Yes, that's what it's called. For any of those people.
Let people know how many acres that is. So if you're having a hard time picturing, have you ever been to Manhattan or you've been to Central Park? It's enormous. It goes on forever. So Central Park in New York City is less than 1,000 acres. She owns more acres in Maui, an island, than New York owns in Central Park.
She hasn't opened up. I was thinking you could do like, for not a lot of money, you could do like container, like sort of homes, like people have like little homes, right? You could do like container. You
Yes.
just give them a place to stay. Give them some like. Give
Yes.
them a place to stay. These people just had their lives like torched, and they don't know where to go. And
I've been there.
you could-
I've been there. I see the people living in tents. They're living on the
Jeez.
beach. I've been there. You see people spray painting on building sides saying this is a land grab, and you know why they do that? Because it's a land grab.
They wanted to burn the city down. Like,
Isn't it weird? It's so weird that
what are you gonna put in there?
the most sophisticated alarm system just didn't work. They happened to cut off all the water, so the fire department couldn't use water to put out. These are just weird coincidences. And then all the police and firemen were turning people back into the fire. They're just coinkydinks.
They did that. They sent them back into what was an oven.
These are
The
coinkydinks.
government did. Yeah. All right. Well,
So-
remember, Oprah wants to raise money. Wants us to donate.
She wants us to
those people,
donate.
yeah.
She could have
Worth
taken
$5 billion.
She's worth. She could have taken $1 billion and restored Lahaina herself. She wanted you to do it.
That's exactly.
She gave $10 million. That's like me giving a quarter. Okay, so she didn't give anything. She owns $500 million in property herself. Anyway,
So-
and by the way, buying up all that property in Maui, the natives who live there are upset about it because that raises the price of all the land for everybody else in Maui.
Of course.
Yeah.
It's scarcity.
And there's a homeless problem in Hawaii is a big problem.
Yeah. So Kamala Harris, that's the name of the night.
Oh,
Did you
she's
watch Did
fantastic.
you watch the speech?
I watched about 5 minutes of it, and it was fantastic. I
Oh,
thought
yeah.
it was great. It was her pretending. It was all platitudes and bullshit, just like Michelle Obama, just like Barack Obama. At least Joe Biden has the balls to come out and just brazenly lie.
Yeah,
right?
yell and scream about it. But like Kamala, what was weird to me, man, and I can't get this out of my head, is she's in power right now. You're in charge.
She's
You're not president.
pretending like she's not in power.
You're in power. What's this game you're playing? And you're gonna like tell us you're gonna like sing pour honey in our ears for 10 minutes about your family and your aunties, and you're not gonna tell us anything you're gonna do for the damn country. This place is in shambles right now.
I like
And
it.
you're in power.
So I was inside the convention. I was on the floor for a little while. And the last time I was on the floor for a Democratic convention was the last time they had one, because in 2020 COVID, they didn't have one. So in 2016, I was in Philadelphia, and I was on the floor, and it was interesting and exciting, and it gave you hope about democracy. Why? Because half those people there were progressives who supported Bernie Sanders. So there was friction, which is what's supposed to happen at a convention. There's supposed to be friction, and people are supposed to argue about policy, and that's what was happening there. The establishment eventually did whatever they did to Bernie, and they threatened to prosecute his wife for the bullshit bank deal she did at the college or whatever, but he rolled over for them. And he didn't do anything Bernie Sanders didn't extract anything from the establishment for his support of Hillary Clinton. That's how it's supposed to work. You know politics, Benny. So if somebody wants you to get you to endorse them, you have to give a concession. Bernie didn't get anything, nothing.
He got a new island house. They all get island houses.
So he
has like 3 houses.
He got a book deal.
He got a new house.
He became a millionaire. He's got a book deal, all that shit. He became the banking chairman. The progressives were like, well, Bernie's going to become the banking chairman. And what did that do for you? Fucking nothing. Anyway, so when I was there last time, it was fun to walk the floor.
Yes.
I would walk the floor and I would interview people, and they had interesting ideas about policies. They all were understanding what Bernie was pushing and what Hillary was. This time, it was the exact opposite. No one even cared about politics. No one knew anything. I was interviewing one Democratic delegate, and I said, "Hey, does it bother you that there wasn't a real process for the primary this time to get the nominee?" And the woman who I was talking to was a beautiful black woman, and she said, "What do you mean? I don't know what you mean. We had a primary." I go, Yeah, but they switched the usual primary starts in Iowa and then New Hampshire. They switched it to go start in South Carolina because that would benefit Joe Biden. And then they said if anybody else campaigned in Iowa or New Hampshire, they would take away their delegates that they earned there. That's why RFK had to leave the party, because they were putting in all these rules that would screw him. So he's like, I see what's happening. So that's the opposite of democracy. So anyway, I said this to this woman, and she said, I go, aren't you upset that there wasn't a real primary? And she says, what do you mean they had a primary? And I said, no, Joe Biden won, and then they forced him out. Yeah, but there was a process, she said, and Kamala Harris followed the process. I'm like, that's not called democracy. The process is called what a corporation does. That's not, and then I was like, okay, well, wow, she sounded exactly like a DNC delegate, right? Yeah. And then I said, well, what's your favorite policy of Kamala Harris? And literally she said to me, criminal justice. A black woman telling me her favorite policy of Kamala Harris is criminal justice. Kamala Harris is known for locking up black people for things that she was guilty of herself, hiding evidence that would exonerate them, and then after the Supreme Court told her to release prisoners from California's prisons, she still didn't, and the reason why she didn't do that, they gave in court, was because it would upset the prison labor system. Do you know what that's called? It's called slavery. I don't know if you know. So Kamala Harris was literally imposing slavery on black and brown people in California. And this woman who's a delegate to the DNC this year for Kamala Harris is telling me she likes her because of that. So it was, honestly, Benny, I left there super depressed.
Yeah, it was NBC World. We were there, I was there with Vivek, and we were just streaming and running around and just kind of like, chewing the fat with people. And it's kind of like kicking the doors in, right? Like a little bit. Vivek knows that he's going to be recognized. People are going to yell and hiss and scream, and it's going to cause a little bit of a ruckus. And it was when Vivek was doing a Fox hit, I just wandered around and looked at people, and we did people watching. Bro, it was like
zombies,
like glassy eyed
zombies,
like glassy eyed people,
brainwashed,
kind of like walking.
Yes,
and, like very NPC. Very much like an Android world, right?
Yes.
Where it's like everyone had a Neuralink chip.
Yes.
Yeah. And they were all like on the same wavelength. And
yes.
Kamala, it's like a meme. It's like the chip was taken out, the Biden chip was taken out, and before the port even got cold, they shoved a Kamala clip in there, and they were reprogramming, update, done, algorithm activated.
So like a convention traditionally is supposed to be where you get together and you knock heads and you work out policy and you find compromises.
Jimmy, I didn't see a single Biden button. So I went around looking. I'm like, can anybody find me Biden? Jack. Nothing. A photo. A pashmina. Whatever, dude. A lady in a wheelchair with like a little Biden sticker on her wheel. That's all I cared about. Find me a Biden thing. That dude was straight up Stalinist level erased. He's been erased, right?
So,
that famous photo, Stalin and that guy, and the guy's gone.
Well, wasn't it ironic? I don't know if you saw this part of the convention. I did. They were holding up signs that saying "We love you, Joe." When Biden came,
right.
They had passed these out, obviously, and they were all holding up "We love you, Joe." Yeah, we love you so much that we cooed you and forced you out of a primary that you won. That's how much we love you. We want you to get the fuck out of here. And we're putting you on the first night of the convention instead of the last night because we don't give a shit about you. We want people to forget about you. That's how much they love Joe Biden. That was amazing to me. But by the way, I want to just bring this point up if I can about communism. So my point of view is that the actual Democratic establishment and the Republican establishment, which also hates Trump, by the way, the Republican, right, that they're so much alike that they have to invent these fake narratives to hate each other, right? So right now, the Democrats are inventing this narrative that Donald Trump is going to become dictator on day one. He's going to become a king. And I was at a Palestinian protest, and someone said that they hated Donald Trump and they might vote for Kamala Harris. And I said, why? They go, because Trump will make himself king. And I go, well, what's the mechanism for him to do that? I mean, if Trump can make himself king, why didn't he do that the first time? Wow. Why is he waiting? And that means that anybody could have did that? Why didn't Nixon make himself king? Why didn't... And they don't have an answer for that because it's made up.
Yes.
Because we have a balance of power in America. We have a constitutional republic, and you can't make yourself king. That's why that's why the president always has to negotiate with Senate and the Congress to get legislation passed, because there is no such thing as a king in America. And what was my point of this? God damn it! I forgot my point. Go ahead.
What's gonna happen?
Oh, I do.
Yeah.
I remember.
Go.
So then they each have to conflate. So then the Democrats say that Donald Trump is a white supremacist and a Nazi who's going to make himself king, and then the Republicans call Kamala Harris a communist. Now, she's not a communist. What she is a corporatist authoritarian, right? And why do I say she's authoritarian? Is because she's for censorship, which is the hallmark of a dictator, right? Censorship. And they always tell you they're censoring people to protect you. And so they're going to censor you from people telling the truth about COVID. They're going to censor you from people telling the truth about Ukraine. They're going to censor you from telling the truth about Russiagate. They're going to so censorship is, as RFK Jr. says, when in history has the censors ever been on the right side of history? Never. So that's what the Democratic Party has become. They were people who were always anti-war, they were always pro-worker, they were always pro-bodily autonomy, and they were always pro-free speech. They flipped on all those things. Now the Democratic Party is pro-censorship, they're anti-bodily autonomy because they were pro-mandate, which is the exact opposite of bodily autonomy, right? They're pro-war, they've been for every war in my lifetime, including the Ukraine war. And I forget what the first one was, but they're the exact opposite of what they used to be. And so that's why RFK Jr., that's why I say the Democratic Party, I didn't leave them, they left me. I'm exactly the same. I'm for bodily autonomy, I'm for freedom of speech, I'm anti-war, and they are none of those things.
How's it going to shake out? Last question.
Okay.
Last question. Because we're pack up everything and get back. We have 5 hours of packing.
I know.
But I want.
It's been an exhausting week, hasn't it?
You've done so much on this issue of like figuring out where the parties are right now, and I do worry about that zombie state. I do worry about NPC. You don't want 30 to 40% of the population that could just be programmed like that.
Yeah, they can be.
You do want critical thinkers, and I don't want that on the Republican side. I don't want that on the Democrat side. It's bad for the country. But what do you? How do you see this shaking out? You've been very right in your predictions. You're one of the Nostradamuses. So what happens the next 70 days?
Well, it's funny. It's like all I have to do is say communist, and it triggers. Like even my own audience, I have a lot of right-wing audience, right? I have Marxists, I have MAGA, and all you have to do is say communist, and they're triggered. So, like in Venezuela, why do people have an opinion upon the election in Venezuela? The reason why you live in America and you even have an opinion on that is because there's more oil in Venezuela than there is in Saudi Arabia. So now the media is involved because the deep state's involved, because the economic hitmen who run the country want the media to talk about this because they want people to be on board when we overthrow their government, right? We've tried to overthrow their government a couple of times in the last 20 years. And why? Because there's more oil, and Trump even admitted it. In fact, he gave a speech where he said, if I was president, we would have taken all that oil, we would have got all that oil. And that's another reason why the deep state would have killed them, wants to kill him, because he tells the truth. Nobody else will say that. They'll say, well, we want to bring democracy. So as soon as I found out there was more oil in Venezuela than in Saudi Arabia, I knew it was just a matter of time before we had to bring democracy to their people. And that's what they're saying, right? And so I want to make that. So don't be triggered by the word communist, because communist is the people in Venezuela. Maduro has a mixed economy. He has an economy where he runs the oil and he gives that money back to the people, and they have a lot of lithium down there and stuff. So he wants to take their natural resources and put that money back into the country, and the economic hitmen who run the Western culture don't want that to happen. So they want you to have an opinion that that's a illegal election. Hey, let's say it is. I'll grant you it's not, but I'll grant you. Let's say Maduro didn't win the election. It's none of our fucking business, and I don't think the elections in America are correct, right? So I don't want people from
clean up your own house. Everyone watch 2020.
I don't want people from Venezuela coming in here overthrowing my government to clean it up for me. We could figure it out in the United States. So your question is, where do we go from here? Where do we go from here is that people need to come together like the truckers did in Canada.
Nice.
And they need to shut down shit and put a hurt on the billionaires who actually run the Western world, and to the point where we make the government afraid of us again. And that's what we used to, that's what is supposed to happen, right? The government's supposed to be afraid of the people. If the people are afraid of the government, that's tyranny. And that's what we're living in right now. We're living in tyranny. So we need to do things like we need to get the truckers and the farmers and workers of all sorts together to revolt against this government and take it back, because we don't have the government right now. We live in a literal oligarchy, which is proven by a Princeton study over 10 years ago. Your vote does not fucking matter. It doesn't matter because your candidates are chosen. The fact that Trump was not chosen is why they tried to kill him, okay? And I'm not saying that if Trump becomes president, he'll fix everything. I'm saying that there's a reason why they're trying to kill him, okay? And so that's what needs to happen. People like you and me and people in my audience who have already realized this, that your neighbor is not your enemy. Your neighbor is your neighbor. And they want you to hate, they want me to hate, so that the oligarchy did a controlled demolition of our economy during COVID, which crushed everybody, and they want me to hate my neighbor for the economic pain I'm feeling because he wouldn't take a vaccine that didn't work the way they said it did in the first place. Well, I'm not going to hate my neighbor. I'm going to join with my neighbor, and I'm going to oppose those oligarchs. I'm going to do it with farmers. I'm going to do it with truckers. I'm going to do it with workers at Amazon of all sorts, because that's the only thing that's going to take back this country. And if that doesn't happen, we're lost. We're lost to tyranny, we're lost to authoritarianism, we're lost to corporatism. And it's not just in America. I just did a European tour. The exact thing that's happening here is happening there. And they feel it, and they know exactly the same thing. I did a sold-out tour in Europe. I had no idea if I would sell one ticket. I sold out everywhere I went, and I did meet and greets, and people came up to me and said, exactly what you're experiencing in America is exact. Jeff Bezos doesn't just own the Washington Post here in America. He's also owns media in Norway. Did you know that? I didn't know that until I went there. He's buying up media in Europe. So the same billionaires who run this country are running Western Europe, and that's why we have the immigrant crisis, not only there but here, and that's why they got rid of Muammar Gaddafi, because Muammar Gaddafi was a line between immigration from Africa to here, and they wanted to get rid of it. He thought he was safe because he provided them that security. The exact opposite. As soon as they wanted to get rid of that security is when they killed him. Anyway, I could talk about this all night, Benny, and I know you're tired.
Are you voting Trump? I mean, after that impassioned plea, like, are you?
I'm writing in Dave Chappelle, as I always do, and so no. I mean, I have a lot of problems with Trump, but I understand that there is definitely a faction inside the establishment and the deep state that wants Trump dead. They don't want Joe Biden dead. They don't want Kamala Harris dead. So what does that tell you, right? And it's because he is a glitch in their warmongering program. And so, no, I won't be voting for him, but I will be writing in Dave Chappelle. And I think it's time Americans came. So at the Democratic Convention, they talked about, oh, the Republicans want to divide the country. You motherfuckers are the ones who are dividing the country. You criminalized this whole political operation, which was what January 6th was for, which was a psyop by the FBI to criminalize MAGA and Donald Trump. So, and they're the ones who constantly are dividing the country. So we need to, your neighbor is not your enemy. Your neighbor is suffering under the same bullshit that you're suffering under. Remember that. You just have different ways to get to the same place.
I will be voting for Donald Trump, but I will join with Jimmy Dore and say I'd love to have Dave Chappelle as part of the administration. I think Dave Chappelle could do some great.
And I hope RFK is a part of the administration.
Totally, along with Elon. Dave Chappelle, Elon Musk, RFK, Donald Trump. Come on, baby, bring it home. What a wild week. We have been live every single day, twice a day, and have been hitting the streets and hitting the bricks. It's been incredible to meet some absolute legends. And
great to meet you.
New friends
great to meet you.
Along the way. And making some friends on the South Side, I guess, too.
That's amazing. I'm from the South Side, you know that, right?
Those people will not be voting for Kamala
Harris. They're not voting.
They made sure to tell us. You know what, ladies and gentlemen, we love you. We thank you for following us along. We read the comments. We realize how much it is important to tell a true story out here. And we've set about doing that in the Benny Bunker. We're very proud of our work, and it can't be done without you. So we love you, we care about you, we appreciate you. And from the Windy City, deep inside the Benny Bunker in Trump Tower, we say a heartfelt thank you. And now I'm gonna go eat some deep dish pizza.
Yes,
All right?
I did that today.
We're gonna hit it tomorrow morning. Big day tomorrow. Thank you all for watching. It's your boy Benny. You are in the arena with Jimmy Dore and Rob Blagojevich. Final night of the DNC. Thank God it's over. See ya.
That was great, buddy.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. Thanks for letting me say what I had to say.
Hot fire, man. Those clips are gonna send.
I hope so.
Those are amazing. You up at the bar
Okay.
upstairs?
Yeah.
I'm gonna help the boys pack for a little
Okay.
bit, but
Let me get this unclipped.
you're in LA. You're not in Chicago.
I'm in Studio City, so I'm originally from Chicago.
Yeah.
But yes, please do. But I moved out in '95 actually, and I've been out there ever since. And I've been disowned by Hollywood, and since I wouldn't vote for Hillary, I had a radio show in LA at that time, and boy, did picking people come down on me. And I was like, hey, I want Hillary to come get my vote.
Yeah, of course.
And that's how this is supposed to work. And they're like, no, you're supposed to shut up. And that's what I was told, shut up.
Bro.
You're helping Trump. And I'm like, you motherfuckers. And so that was it. I lost my management, the whole deal. The whole fucking deal happened. So that happened a long time ago.
Tell everyone
And then I endorsed Tulsi, and it got even worse.
She's kryptonite. She's proper
Yeah.
kryptonite to those people.
Yes.
Yeah. She's proper.
It's a
kryptonite.
rational hatred of her.
I believe that she would have made a great vice president.
I can't believe Trump didn't pick her.
Some people give me hell for that.
Like,
I
why
think she
didn't he
would have made a
pick
great
her?
vice president.
She would have fucking destroyed them.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and she.
I don't know. I mean, I
savage.
think I know Peter Thiel's a big donator to J.D. Vance, and I think that had something to do with Trump picking him.
There were definitely, so I mean, you have Tucker and you have Don Jr., you have Elon Musk, and a lot of these guys pushing JD, David Sachs, right? They're pushing JD.
Yeah.
That's a really strong. That's a really strong.
Yes.
group
Yeah.
of people to argue for on your behalf. So.
Do you think so? The mistake that Trump made in his first administration was that he brought in insiders and he thought they would calm his criticism, and of course it didn't.
Personnel is policy, right? So.
Yes. So do you think he'll learn anything going forward in his next administration? Do you think he will?
We know so many. I'm close with Stephen Miller, and Stephen was like the one guy that actually really got it done. Speechwriter and an architect.
Yeah.
So many.
Okay.
Every administration and every administrative teardown was Stephen Miller, and every good rule was Stephen Miller, and they have gotten really, really smart. I think they've run a much better campaign, frankly.
Okay.
Also. I think it's a much tighter campaign, and
What about the guy they just threw in jail? I'm blanking on his name. His original campaign guy. They just put him in jail. He's in jail right now. Why am I blanking on his name? Anyway, I think that he was actually a brilliant guy. He knew how to, because they stayed on
Steve
message.
Bannon?
That's it.
yeah,
Like he kept them on message.
yes, hyped him up.
And so if Trump runs on the border and the economy and ending wars, he wins. If he runs on Kamala's not black and Kamala, he loses.
Yep.
He got to stay on fucking message.
Can't play in the mud with the pigs, man.
That's
These people are
right. They
pigs.
They're want him to talk about that
They
shit.
love it. They're like, please.
Please bring up her rape.
I was born and raised in the Briar Patch. Like
Yeah.
identity politics. You're gonna play the identity politics game with me? No, man, you're gonna lose that. So that was, I think that Trump's gone back on message. He did a live call-in, so we played that on the program. I'm not sure if you heard that.
Oh, no,
But
I
he
didn't.
He locked in, and it was really neat to hear him like respond. It's good energy because he responds to Kamala right away. So they like cut right from Kamala's speech over to
Oh,
Trump's reaction
really?
live on Fox, and it's a smart move. Really smart move. Never seen a candidate do that before.
I never saw that.
Yeah.
And he's not so he shows up at the Black Journalist Caucus or whatever the fuck. Kamala doesn't.
Yeah, of course.
And I'm telling people, dude, what does that tell you?
Yeah.
Like she's afraid of questions from her own people. He's not. He'll show up at least. Anyway, all right. I won't.
When I'm in LA,
I won't.
which we
Please
will
let me know,
probably
and I'd love to
talk
have you
about
on my show.
we'd LA is one of the cities where they just keep bringing you back, right? And when you're in this industry, you have to roll through LA.
Yes.
Benny, it was good seeing you.
It was great seeing you.
Great job this week. I know it's a long read, so.
Man, you know what's wild is that we just destroyed Democrat influencers.
Yeah, like, I didn't know any of
the
that.
center right and freedom movement influencers. We just, I mean,
Yeah.
it was like child's play.
Yeah.
We've notched 100 million views on our content.
But like
This week.
streaming here is a great idea.
There's
It's
nobody-
like, nobody's at
There's
the
nobody
top.
on the left.
Yeah.
And
So-
this is their convention. We're
Where do you
pissing-
get your
we're
views
pissing in
mostly?
their
Is it
punch bowl.
YouTube or is it YouTube?
YouTube and X has been
Okay.
fine for
Elon's
us.
I gotta
doing
do
great.
more
Elon's
X.
doing
Because
great.
YouTube has ratcheted up whatever algorithm they have extra against me.
Yeah.
And because I'm considered borderline content. And so they have different, and so they've been really hitting me hard, but whatever.
Entertaining content.
Yeah, I appreciate you saying
These
that.
clips are gonna fly.
I hope so.
Yeah, and the audience was loving you. The chat was on fire.
Oh, that's great.
Okay, great.
The audience loves you too.
Thanks for saying
Safe
that.
travels.
Okay,
We'll
it's
have
a
to get you on
pleasure.
the show again.
I would love to come
my
back.
honor.
Okay, pleasure. I'll see you, hopefully I'll see you, when you come to LA, let me know.
Thanks for accommodating. All right.
There you go. I thought that was great. I got a clip up.
Oh, great, okay.
Yeah. There was a lot of clips. It was really good. How late are you guys going live? Are you guys going live all night?
Are we still alive?
Yeah,
What did the chat think of the show?
they weren't thrilled with my camera framing, but besides that, they thought the frame of the they thought I was on acid, but
Why, what was the problem, what was wrong with it?
because of their camera, because of their equipment, I had to be further back, so I had to
Oh,
zoom
okay.
in, and the camera was like shaking, so I
Oh,
had to
no
put it on
kidding?
a chair,
Oh,
put it on
okay.
a table, then it's like, move the camera, you're cut off.
Hey, Steph, what did you think?
Hey, Benny, it's good. You can wrap the live stream.
Okay, let's wrap the live stream according to
Okay.
Steph. Hey, I love you, I have to say goodbye.
Nice
And so thanks for everybody for watching. That's the end of our live stream from Chicago. And we'll see you back possibly Saturday or Sunday, if not Monday, with Richard Medhurst, who just got arrested because of he's telling the truth about war in UK. Okay, thanks, bye.